Guys, welcome to 360 TV. My name is Adonis Lockett. I'm going to be your host, and tonight I am being joined by the lovely Lauren Lockett, and assisting me today is my co-host, Mr. Darion Coleman. Guys, welcome. Lauren, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, definitely. So my first question is, Darion.
Yes.
That beard.
What's wrong with my beard, man? The ladies love the luscious, smooth, moisturized beard.
So apparently there's some insecurities about your beard. I said that beard. I was on my way to a compliment, but we'll go your route.
I saw where you were going. So I was just ahead of you. That's all it was. That's all it was.
Fair enough. So again, joining us, Miss Lauren Lockett. How are you? Thank you for joining us. Appreciate you having us.
Tonight. Thank you for having me.
Definitely. So, Miss Lockett, before we get started, we gotta cut to our weekly whiskey wisdom moment.
Hey everybody, it's Darion Coleman with a 360 Whiskey and Wisdom. So today I have a very good tip for you. But before I do that, obviously if you want to, raise your glass with me and let's have a sip of whiskey. Your boy today is drinking Jim Beam straight. Anywho, so my whiskey wisdom tip today is, for as long as I've been told, never talk to strangers, okay? But I've learned, talk to strangers though, because you never know who you'll meet. So talk to strangers, but don't talk to strangers, but talk to the good strangers. That's my tip. Cheers.
So for clarity,
Yes.
you were drinking Jim Beam straight.
Yes.
It's a good drink.
I get it. You've been laid off recently.
Not laid off.
Just in between jobs.
Times is just different.
We'll drink to a
Chips
different time.
I got a job.
Lauren, so what are your thoughts? Don't talk to strangers, but talk to strangers. Was that a wacky concept, or what? What are your thoughts about that?
It makes sense. You know, you never know what you don't know and who you don't know
Until you know them.
until you know them.
Oh, that's old school. You
Hey.
don't know, now you know.
Person.
So Lauren, so from what you've told me, you have done a handful of amazing things in a very short period of time.
Oh, have I?
So just tell us about you. Tell us your story.
Okay. Well, I guess I can start from the beginning. So I got into real estate a few years ago, not knowing much of anything other than I wanted to kind of diversify my retirement portfolio.
Okay.
I know a lot of people in corporate who have 401ks, you do stocks, and then, you know, markets do what they do, and then you lose half your value. And so I wanted to.
I'm sorry. It sounds like you've been through that before.
I mean, not half, but I've lost.
Tell us about that.
I mean, one of the last times the market dropped, I lost like $20,000-$30,000 in one day. So.
Okay. All right.
I wanted some other options for, as I'm growing my nest egg here. So that got me into getting into thinking about real estate, and I really only wanted to do rentals. Flips were never anything that I had planned on doing. And so I started doing what everybody does. You start trying to get educated somewhere. So I went to a Rich Dad, Poor Dad weekend.
Of course.
Of course. My best friend and her husband signed up for it. $30,000-$40,000 later, no shade.
Listen.
There's a lot to unpack there.
I'm gonna let you finish.
There's a lot to talk about on that one.
The experience left them a lot to be desired. I went a different route and started working with people who I knew in my network who were investors. And then I started working with the realtor trying to find a property, and that she was showing me properties, but they were investment properties in her mind, but they weren't really investment properties. It's like,
Right.
okay, you can get a large house with a couple of rooms and you rent out some rooms. And I'm like, it's not really what I'm going for. I'm not house
Right.
hacking here.
So that bring you brought up several good points I want to talk to, but I gotta know, with you losing 20 to 30,000 in one day, was that the start of your motivation, or was that the nail in the coffin that says I got to do something different?
I wouldn't necessarily say it was either of those.
Okay.
I mean, having a 401k, you're kind of used to the volatility in certain regards.
But
like,
that's a lot.
I mean, it is, but it's like, it's also what happens. It's like, you know, that's what happens
Right.
with your 401k. So it's not like, again, it's just made me want to have other options.
Got it.
It wasn't necessarily like, yeah, I still invest in my 401k, you know, like.
Just a little bit more sparingly, and pointed at a little bit safer.
Right.
Right. After 30K, I'd be like, you know what?
Because let me tell you
I had
something.
also accumulated a lot of, I mean, I probably lost everything that had accumulated over a period of years or whatever.
You
So
said
it's like,
years?
it doesn't grow that fast.
Not like a year or 2.
Years.
It's gonna
5
come
or
back.
6.
It's gonna come back.
Sure. Okay. All right. So,
Man. Hey, man.
you know what? Speak it into existence, right? You know what I mean? You put it out in the universe, and it shall speak, and you shall have.
That's what money does. It's out there in the universe. You just grab it from time to time. You know, you
Right.
stash some of it away. You put some of it in these properties.
Let me tell you something. If I lose 30 to 40,000, one phrase: insurance policy. Somebody take me out.
You said 30.
That's the only way I can
If I
fix
lose
this.
3,000, I'm losing sleep at night. Like, bro, 30?
I think we need to get your paper up here.
Or maybe because I'm listening. Like, you were very casual for the like at 30,000. I'd have lost weight. I'd have lost sleep.
That's retirement money. I'm a long way from being able to touch that without being taxed heavily anyway.
Yeah.
So like,
Fair enough.
again, at this point, it really, I'm not gonna say it doesn't matter, but it's the least of my concerns.
All right, fair
So-
enough. So then you brought up a good point. You said you spoke with an agent and she was showing you her version of investment properties, and what you're saying was your idea a long ways from an actual investment property. So it sounds like there is a difference between working with agents that are in the investment world versus agents that are finding you an investment property who think they understand the investment world. Tell me about that.
Yeah, and you know, at the time, I didn't know too much about the best way to get into rental properties, because I'm sure for most new investors, they would have thought this sounds like a great deal, you know, but something about it, I mean, it just didn't feel right. I didn't know enough about how I invest now. You know, it just never made sense. And so, but yeah, it is totally different.
So then when you say it doesn't feel right, is it safe to say that regardless of what the agent was telling you, your gut led you in the best direction?
Yeah, intuition, trusting yourself.
Okay. All right.
So one thing that you said that I want to touch on, you said how I invest now. So
Yeah.
can you tell us, how do you invest now?
Yeah, and I will add that I am a licensed realtor. So I have
wait. Shameless plug. Go
I was
for
like,
it. Go for it. Shameless plug. Well, I'm going to slip that in real quick.
but go ahead. Go ahead.
Drop your plug.
I have a little bit more access to tools and things now. But basically what the strategy is to find distressed properties that are being sold at a certain percentage below market value,
Okay.
that you can rehab, possibly add a bedroom, bathroom, do something to increase the value, and then you refi out, and you have some additional equity that you put into the property there that you can take and reinvest. And that's essentially how I grow my portfolio.
Love it.
So it sounds like you've done this a couple times.
A few.
Right, because you notice how she just strolled down this thing that
Easy.
seems to be this tough beast. She just, well, just I had a bedroom, bathroom, and then bada boom, bada bing, 50K later, I'm rolling in
That
equity.
50K she lost, she made it back.
Right, so that's why she's chilling right now. All right, so you said that you're a licensed realtor.
Yeah.
Right? So with you practicing that strategy for yourself, is that also something that there's that service or that type of education, something that you relate to the clients that you work with who are interested in investing?
Absolutely. It's a part of the education, but I don't dictate what strategy they move forward with.
Okay.
A lot of people do just want something turnkey. They want to put down their 20-25% and just put in a tenant. They don't want to go through a rehab. They don't want to add value. They rather play the long game, and they may have a little less net revenue up front, but they know that they'll make it up because they maybe got into a better neighborhood. Maybe the house will appreciate faster than some of these rehab properties would. So, but yeah, it's always a part of the conversation. Always happy to just, inform people about different strategies that are out there and how, it's a lot easier to scale if you do it that way, because you don't have to, generally speaking, you don't have to put too much money out to grow that way. But because it's pretty hefty when you're putting down, 20-25% every time you buy a property.
Yeah.
Right, especially when you're losing 30K in a day every time someone goes left. I'm just saying, I'm sorry, I cannot get off of that.
Yeah, some people have a lot of money sitting aside. Maybe they have that 401k money and they change a job and then they want to switch it up and then just buy 5-6 turnkey properties.
Right.
It's a thing.
Right. So then let me ask you, right? So in all fairness, so you guys know, I liquidated my 401k probably 6 months after I left corporate America. I liquidated it and I really just
started drinking Jim Beam straight.
No, that's there. Listen,
He did not have a job.
Fair enough. I think Jim Beam was an upgrade from where old E&J. You get that.
Not the E&J.
$9.99. Like, you get a handle of that bad boy. But so one reason why I liquidated my 401k was because I spent 7 or 8 years in corporate, and I think I had made most of the money that I made. I had ended up losing because I was back in corporate in 2008 when the stock market dropped. So when the Dow dropped 1,000 points, pretty much 100% of what I accrued over those last few years pretty much got wiped out.
Oh my God.
So that means that for me, I liquidated because where I started and where I finished was probably a couple dollars difference. And that was the kind of the point that I was getting to.
Wow.
How many,
6 years.
I mean, think about this, right? How many times can you lose 25, 30K a day when the market does a dip before you're wiped out? Because the stock market recovers aggressively. Your 401k does not, right? And in most 401ks, they usually
Depending on how you
Well, I mean, even if you invest more aggressively, most 401ks have a ceiling, which would be 15, 18, 20%. So even if you lost 25K, a month later, 25, especially the way things are going now with the State of the Union, with the whole thing with Capitol Hill, it's drop after drop after drop. So by the time the market aggressively recovers, how long would it take to recoup 2 drops of 30K, roughly? And I'm asking that rhetorically to go back to the point that I feel like you're making the right decision by going to real estate.
Absolutely.
Because even if your equity in the property drops, rents do not. Right? So your investment is safe.
Did you just learn something?
You know, the way you delivered it, man, you said it so good.
Yeah, listen.
You know, when you hear something good, you have to go,
So, and I guess that's what I'm getting to is that what is now driving you more into real estate, or is the focus equally play the long-term game and the real estate game, or are you now more geared towards the real estate game?
Definitely more geared towards the real estate game, but still contributing up to what is matched by my employer.
Until that shit is wiped out. Until it's wiped out again. right, I'm obviously throwing shade. All right.
Yeah.
But
Again, the whole goal was to diversify retirement.
There it is.
Not put it
I like
all,
that.
not move from one bucket to another.
you know what? That's the phrase of the night. Diversify.
Yes.
What'd you say again?
We'll go with the word of the night.
The word of the night.
Diversify. Diversification.
There it is. There it is. All right. So that's our My 360's word of the night. Diversification. All right. There it is. So Lauren, give our viewers, if they're new investors, give them some advice as a new investor.
I think you should just always be open to learning and meeting new people and hearing different ideas. You obviously need to take it in and decipher what makes sense, what is a strategy that you want to take forward, but everybody invests and does real estate differently.
Okay.
And so I just think it's important to always have an open mind. And, like I said, I started out thinking, I just want to do rentals. I have a lot of rentals, but I've also done flips. I've also just given money. I've done a handful of different things, and so just be open.
I love it.
Give advice to the seasoned investor. Now, here's why. Right, as an agent, a seasoned investor is going to have you help them expand. Right? So they obviously have done something or is doing something that they believe is kind of moving them along for whatever they want to accomplish.
Correct.
Give advice to the seasoned investor.
I'm listening. I'm listening.
Now, and when I say seasoned, let me give you some context. They've been in the business 5+ years. They have done 7 to 8 deals. They've flipped a handful. They got a couple rentals. So they understand real estate investing just as a collective. Give advice to that investor.
I understand that investor. I know that investor. But that's kind of what makes it difficult to give advice because, like you said, they are very specific and strategic in what they have done and what they want to do. So I would kind of need to tailor it to to what's applicable to them. Like, I don't know, just some generic advice you give a seasoned investor. I don't know.
You know what? If all this fails, you can tell that seasoned investor the word of the night. Diversify. Diversification.
Right. If you ever get, so for future reference, if someone says, "What can you do for me?"
Diversify.
There it is.
You can never lose with that word.
Like, what do you say? Because what's your counter to that? Well, this is a good point. So,
Diversification.
all right. So Lauren, as you said, you're an agent.
Realtor.
It's
a difference, but
At that comma.
You know what? What is the difference between a realtor and an agent?
That's a good question.
Okay, well, a licensed agent is someone who has passed the state and national exam.
Okay.
And they work at a brokerage.
Okay.
That's about it.
No shade to the real estate agents out there. We love you.
Correct. But if you're a realtor, you go through additional training after licensing that is provided by the Realtor Association. You are a part of the Texas Association of Realtors plus a local association of realtors, and you subscribe to the Code of Ethics for realtors.
Okay. So it's like the Platinum Club for
Yes.
realtors. Okay.
There you go.
Diners Club card of the real estate game. Okay. I like it. So do you feel that you being a realtor has helped your real estate investing career?
Yeah. Just from a sense that, like I said, I have access to more tools now, things that can help me better analyze an investments. And you just see real estate every day, so you can't help but to learn and grow as you're a part of the business.
Got it. Give me a time where you've second guessed being a realtor, being in the business. Tell me about the time you second guessed and how did you overcome those doubts?
A time where I've second guessed, there was a project where we bought a house, and it was just supposed to be a very easy, quick rehab. You throw up one wall, add a closet, and you have another bedroom. Just basic paint, floors,
Right.
a little bit of roof repair, nothing too crazy. And then pipe burst. And then, the city comes and says, you can't do the gas line. You got to replace the gas line. And, it's just all these extra things on a deal that was already, the numbers were pretty tight, but it made sense because it was just such an easy rehab. And then, is this thing after this thing after this thing. We're still waiting for the city to come repair some of the plumbing so that we can actually put a tenant in the property.
Okay.
So, you kind of second guess, like, should you have done more due diligence up front?
Right.
Should you have done another inspection? Should you, just because you just get so close to losing money on a deal, you kind of, think maybe you could have done something a little bit
more,
different.
right.
Yeah.
So Lauren, this great statement, by the way, this begs a question for me. I think that the general public has this certain perception of what real estate is, because they watch HGTV. They think it's all about, picking out towel and having fun, and then someone's just going to magically come by it. So what I want to do right now, I want to have a moment of perception versus reality.
Okay.
So can you please tell me, do you think there was a time within your career as an investor where you failed? And if you failed, how did you recoup from that failure?
Failure. So
Would you look at that as whatever you're about to say, would you consider a failure or a learning experience or both?
every failure is a learning experience. So.
See?
Phrase of the night. There it is. There it is. There it is. Okay. I get it now. I get it now.
I mean,
We should hashtag that.
Oh my God.
Failure is a learning
It
experience.
is. It really is.
There it is. Yo, that's our hashtag of the evening. Failure is a learning experience. Make
really
that the
is.
hashtag of the week.
Experience.
You know what I'm saying? The drink is setting in.
It is the drink.
I mean, failure is such a hard word. You know, I don't feel like there's just been a lot of what you would consider failures. There have been like some setbacks with projects, things taking longer than you think they would, you know, or a smaller problem blowing up into something you never expected, like what I just described. But, you know, I don't know how to answer that.
Well, okay, I do get that, but just even when those moments happen or things don't go how you expected, how do you cope with that? Are you someone where you're saying in this industry you gotta scream and let it out? Do you, keep it together and stay poised and move on? Like, how do you deal with that mentally?
I mean, just personally and how I've been professionally, you know, I prefer to be a problem solver, and so I don't.
How do you He said, you for alley, you for all right.
You know, like, all you can do is what you can do. And so when things start to go differently, I like to start trying to solution and figure out how we can course correct. So it's not necessarily, I don't need to scream and do stuff. I mean, for me, that doesn't change anything. You letting out steam, whatever. I go work out and do that. I don't need to. I just need to fix the problem. I don't need to understand. You know, I don't necessarily need. Like, I need to understand how we got here, but I don't. That's about it. Then I need to fix it.
I love that.
Save all the screaming and stuff. Listen, she poised. If there's a problem, I'll have a glass of wine, and then I get right to it. I like it.
Because let me tell you something. Have you ever heard the phrase, "He gonna cry in the car"? This
guy.
I gotta let it out. Shout out, hold on to all men out there. It's okay to cry sometimes.
In the car.
In the car.
In the car.
I'd rather cry and let it out than hit somebody. I'm just gonna say that.
Look, keep it in the car.
In the car. In the car.
But in fairness though, I do want to kind of highlight that point. it is okay to be human, and fellas, fellas, investors, failure.
Are you saying I'm not human?
Is that what the interpretation was? I said it's okay to be human, meaning that it's okay, whatever most of us. So first of all, we are our toughest critics. So and Darian, to that point, where some of us will look at it as failures, other people will look at it as, oh, okay, so you learn what doesn't work. So it's I want to just really throw out there real quick that it is okay. When the situations get heavy, it's okay to cry in the car.
Yeah.
It's okay to scream in a pillow, or whatever your mechanism is to balance out.
Have a glass of wine.
Yeah.
Have a glass of wine, or in Darion's case, Jim Beam, because that's popping today.
They might be with E&J that night, depending on how much money they lost.
But it is okay to do whatever you got to do to balance mentally to get yourself back in the game. So I want to just make sure where everyone is aware that setbacks, failures, or whatever you want to call it is part of the business. No one is immune to it, and if you haven't experienced it, it's only a matter of time.
Exactly.
It's so it's okay to go through and figure out what your mechanism is, and however far-fetched or however people may joke about it, whatever your mechanism is that gets you back on track, embrace it and do it.
Yes. And I just want to harp on this because it's just so important, because I feel like we live in a world where everything is about looking a certain way on social media, and even though you're going through stuff, I just want to make it look great, and I know everything I'm doing, and that couldn't be further from the truth in this industry. You're gonna have those days where you cry. You're gonna have those times where you get mad if something doesn't go right. And I think people really need to know that it's not going to be perfect every single time. And to those that do try and say, hey, I want to get in this industry, and you mess up, that's okay. That's okay. You're going to have those moments. Keep going. And I think it's the attitude of the keep going attitude and spirit, the perseverance. That's what separates the top investors from those that are just mediocre. The top investors are those that did not give up.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if anyone takes away anything from this show tonight, I want them to know, seriously,
Diversify.
Don't give up. Diversify and don't give up.
Right. And when stuff gets tough, you can always scale back and drink Jim Beam. So, don't.
Yes.
Listen, if we don't get sponsored by Jim Beam, I would be shocked at this point. Call us.
I will disagree with one thing, though.
Okay.
I don't think social media needs to see everything. Social media is never going to see
wasn't
me.
a moment.
But that was a question. That's what I want to really break that down for me.
So, but you lumping it all into the same thing. You got to break it up.
Yeah,
you know what
right.
I mean?
Yeah, social media is not going to catch my lows.
Okay.
That's not what I use it for.
To be honest with you, I actually like posting when my projects have setbacks. I like posting when I've lost money, right? Because there's a degree of realism that is provided that says it is not always this business. What I live is not always through rose-colored glasses, right? And I think you become a lot more relatable when people see your setbacks just as much as your wins, right? Because at that point, someone who's going through the same thing can reach out and say, "How did you do it?" And someone told me, I ain't gonna lie, our producer told me once, if one person is following you, you're changing one person's life, and that's all it takes sometimes. So with that, I've made it a point to highlight my setbacks as often as my wins, because someone will see it, understand it, and need help going through that themselves for the first time.
Absolutely.
Whereas for me, I've done it, a handful of times. So my setbacks is a day in the life, whereas for them, it's the reason why they may stay in the business or get out. So, the thing is, I agree that you want to have a personal life separate from the rest of the world, but it's okay for people to see how you persevere through setbacks and not necessarily consider them failures. They're setbacks. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
Love it.
Just took the wind out of my sail with that one.
It's the look for me.
So Lauren, what's next for you?
Well, I have several very large projects this year.
Okay.
And I pray to God that they all complete in the first quarter.
Okay.
But yeah, so you're correct. I'm trying to get to where the money resides because it's very draining right now.
Oh yeah.
But just constantly working on growing the portfolio. Looking to grow the brokerage. So, anybody out there who's looking for a new brokerage in the Dallas Metro.
Tell it, wait, don't glaze over that. Tell us about that.
How can the people find you?
Right, like, give us the juice about growing the brokerage. What does that mean?
So what that means is taking on new business, new agents, new realtors.
So you are running your own brokerage?
Yeah.
I thought I would have led with that. Like, hi, I'm Lauren, and I run my own brokerage. If you're looking, feel free to holler at me.
Well, a little bit more humble than that, But yeah, I'm always looking to work with talented realtors out there, and always looking to take on new projects. Like I said, growing the rental portfolio. I really, and I'm taking on new property management clients as well. So if you have properties, if you're looking to grow your own portfolio, those are the type of services that are offered by a brokerage.
You keep dropping different hints of businesses that you're involved. Tell us everything that you're involved in.
Yes.
I didn't know that was a trick question. I didn't know that was a trick question.
It's not a trick question, but I mean, licensed realtor, run the brokerage.
The Jim Beam setting in. This shit is getting blood right now.
Run the brokerage.
Okay.
Property management.
Okay.
Work with investors, as if newer investors, if you need help strategizing, finding money sources. Part of our brokerage, we do offer financing to investors for, your fix and flips and rentals. I feel like that's pretty much it.
It's very much giving me real estate empire vibes. I love it. Hey, I'm rocking with it. I love it.
So with that said, I want to make sure that we have enough time for our very next segment. But before we move on, Lauren, two things I would like to close out every time we have a guest. First thing, if you have a message to put out to the world, what is it? And then second, how do people get in touch with you?
Yes. I tried a little. Yes.
Right. With conviction, I might add. All right. Your message to the world.
My message to the world is, you can do whatever you want to do and be whoever you want to be.
In the Army.
Is that
I didn't want to say. I was like, that sounds strangely familiar. I'm sorry.
Thanks for degrading my message. But
okay, one more time. So, Lauren, your message to the world. I couldn't resist. I apologize.
It's don't be afraid. It's
Okay.
go for what you want to go for in life. That's my message. How to reach me?
Yes. How do we reach you?
Instagram @LaurenYourAgent. Website Locket-N-Homes.com. That's LOCKETTN like Nancy Homes.com. Email Lauren@Locket-N-Homes.
How do they spell Lauren?
LAUREN.
Okay.
So it's
Sure the people know.
your Instagram is Lauren Your Agent.
Correct.
All right. So
Love it.
make sure find Lauren Your Agent. If you have any questions, it sounds like she's every part of the game. You reach out, talk to her. Lauren, it has been a pleasure.
Yes.
We enjoyed having you.
Am I leaving?
No, not at all.
We want you to stay.
We want you to stay.
Okay.
Finish the drink, have a
Finish your
good
drink,
time.
right? If you need another round of the Jim Beam, we got you. But right now, we're going to move into our next segment. So have you ever seen something, you've been watching HGTV, been on social media, and you've seen something real estate related, and you had to take a moment and ask yourself, like, wait, what's happening? So we've done that multiple times. And as part of our latest segment, my RE360 is proud to present Whose Mans Is This? So let's cut to it. So Darian, help me understand what I'm looking at right now.
Set the scene.
Well, Adonis, what you're looking at is someone who is so dedicated and in love with nature. They said, you know what? I can wash dishes facing the wall, or I can put it at an angle and see the forest and my refrigerator. Now, why you want to look at that, I don't know. So to whoever built this, come here. Let me tell you something. Baby, you a dummy.
You know, Darian, I'm gonna go a different direction.
Break it down for me.
Me being the historical, frugal person that I am, I find myself as the investor. Now, I bought this at a fire sale, right?
Yeah.
This bottom cabinet, I cannot return. So I got my bathroom vanities. I got my kitchen cabinets. I will not be defeated by improper measurements. So you know what? GC, make it fit. I don't care how you do it. Well, boss, it really doesn't fit. Bro, make it fit. And now we end up with our Widow's Peak kitchen sink.
You know what they did in this kitchen? They diversified angles. That's what they did.
Or you know what? You know what I think happened? The general contractor came through like, hey, boss, listen, man, like, we can throw this bathroom vanity in there. It's not the kitchen cabinet base $300. But this bathroom vanity, $49. Look, the investor, done. Say less. And voila, Widow's Peak. At the end of the day, whatever the motivation behind this was, I just got one question for you as the homeowner, you as the general contractor that talked the homeowner into this. Whose mans is this? Like, someone tell me. And with that said, that brings us to my RE360's why. 360 why. When you see something that just makes no sense, hashtag 360 why. And we'd like to feature you or whatever you're looking at on this segment's Whose Mans Is This?
I think there's another one.
Hold on.
So, I'm sorry, did we time warp back to the 80s? Like, here's what it is. Nana, I want to renovate your house. You will not be getting rid of my leopard print. Listen, Nana, leopard print is out. For those of you who don't know, Nana's grandma.
Exactly.
Big Ma, whatever you want to call her.
You know what this staircase says to me? No furniture allowed. You said you wanted to rent an apartment, and that's it. You.
It's bean bags and sleeping bags and blankets on the floor. It's air mattress all day. Now, I just love the fact that, like, the leopard print stairs just tells you everything you need to look. When you come upstairs, this is the style of swag you getting for the rest of the evening.
Can you imagine having to walk up these stairs after a night of a Jim Beam bottle at your local bar?
Well, but then you also got to ask the question, like what's happening with this railing situation? Like, that's a squeeze.
They said when you turn to the side, we want you to be able to hold on.
So to
the fire department would approve this design.
So Lauren, help me understand what's happening, because I'm not necessarily a fashion barista, right? But help me understand what's happening with this theory. Like, is this what's popping nowadays as an agent?
It is not.
Okay, all right. So it's safe. So it's safe for me to ask the question: Whose mans is this?
I would say from the outside looking in, that's one house that doesn't want me to go upstairs. Because I can't fit around.
Oh, no.
All right, so what are we...
You know what? We're going to let Lauren take this earlier. She said she did not know how to recognize failure. So Lauren,
I challenge you.
did they fail?
Or did they win beyond measure?
Woo. Now you looking? That's a different perspective. Half glass, half empty, half full.
I think they're winning.
Break that down.
All right, well, let's go on this roller coaster.
They obviously added a bathroom without having to go through the hassle of busting up concrete, putting in pipes under the ground, sealing it back up. Like, they got a whole additional
that.
space. Yeah, with
That they
minimal
did.
effort.
That they did.
Nah. You know what? I need people in this house to know I'm king shit. Literally. I need them to know.
I sit on a throne.
So boss, you want one step? Nah. I need three.
This project screams no dollar left behind. Going right off everything.
Listen, you know what? So here's my problem with this. Like, traditionally, there needs to be a handrail up these stairs.
They need to holler at the architect. The architect did that last staircase. They should have worked together.
Or you know what? It's probably the same guy. Listen, you know what? You want something funky? I'm your guy. So to the
Talking point.
to the homeowner who needs to be king shit in the house, to the general contractor who didn't want to take the time to bust up the floors, I just need to know whose man's is this?
Now see,
All right.
this is the type of stuff. I'm a very peaceful person, but this is the type of stuff I got to fight you. There is no way I got to fight you.
Now this looks like Circus in Vegas pre-renovation, in my opinion.
I feel like they do this in a lot of houses, though. They have those Romeo and Juliet, little balconies that they'll do like on the interior of the property.
Let me tell you something. They gave a new definition to balcony view. That's exactly what you got.
A view of the balcony.
It's not functional. So
what if it's a hidden door there? You just have to like.
James Bond style. You know what kind? Think
Don't
about.
even do that to James.
Think about date night. Listen, you want to see some slick stuff? Button. Pull a book. It slides out to your personal. Listen.
Slides right open.
You know what? I'm not even upset. Matter of fact, I applaud the architect because it's a special kind of special.
It's a special.
It's a
nice way to say it.
To build the balcony and then be like, you know what? Close it up. We're done here. Close it up. So.
Can you imagine being the contractor trying to finish that out?
How to get down?
Right. So
as my grandma would say, let's say hard.
So to the architect that cited that, you know what? Why have access to the balcony? To the general contractor that say, you know what? You don't pay me, no balcony for you.
You're gonna look at it.
We're gonna close this up. All I need to know is homeowner, general contractor, architect, or anyone in between, whose man's is this? And that concludes this week's Whose Man's Is This Real Estate Failures. Again, if you see something and you can't help but ask yourself why, hashtag 360why, and you may be featured in our next week's Whose Man's Is This 360why segment. All right, so with that said, as we kind of wind down
You finished yours.
Yeah, I did finish mine. Did you finish yours?
I did. Oh wait, did I?
You did not.
It's more.
So, Donis, as you finish your drink, tell us your final thoughts, man.
So my final thoughts. First of all, I want to thank our guest, Lauren Lockett. You have been, it's been a pleasure having you on. You've dropped some gems, some nuggets. Again, everyone make sure to find Lauren at Lauren, your agent. Any questions about the real estate game? Sounds like she knows pretty much all parts of it.
Stuff.
But our final thought for the evening, as part of tonight's word of the evening, diversify. Make sure whatever it is that you're doing, if you only have one stream of income, that's one too few. Diversify. Make sure you have multiple streams of income. Make sure that if you have a major setback like $25K a day loss in your 401k, there's something to balance you out, or you have something in the pipeline to help you rebound quickly. So I'll say thank everyone for tuning in. Darian, thank my co-host for joining us. As always, it's been a pleasure. And we will see you guys we'll see you guys next time. So stay tuned.